we have to talk about what's happening with the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
It's getting hard to defend this show.
Well, first of all, I want to talk to you first about the show, right? This episode. We did talk about episode 1 and 2 last week. You can see that on the channel. Episode 3, the stakes have been raised, and something that is very controversial that has been talked about as part of our thumbnail here. They're kind of breaking the canon by having Obi-Wan and Darth Vader meet again. And okay, so we are, by the way, thank you
full spoiler
in the chat. Yeah, we're going full spoiler. It was I watched it last night at midnight. The when they drop their episodes is kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I don't understand why they just don't drop it. If they dropped it at a reasonable time rather than like midnight or 3 a.m. for the East Coast, they might get some traction online and you could chat about it. But for most people are probably waking up, avoiding social media if they want to be spoiler free, and just having to watch it in the morning. They need like a consistent time. It's like 7 p.m. or 9 p.m., which, you know what I mean? Just something reasonable so we can all experience it at once and then discuss it. But there's sort of two things about this. One, there are the events that occur in episode 3. And 2, there is the growing controversy or non-controversy over racism that has been directed at one of the actors of the show, Moses Ingram. We'll talk about that. I think it's in a way, it's unfortunately, I feel like it brings kind of the wrong attention to this, right? Like we can just enjoy it and discuss the flaws, but now, you know,
there's a racial component to it.
There's a racial component. So Alan, I leave it to you.
Oh, you're gonna make me start.
No, but yeah, I mean, let's just talk about episode 3 and the events that occurred in the episode, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, you know, last week, you know, I kind of set up. I said, you know, I'm really not going to judge the show until Vader shows up, and he shows up in this episode, and I kind of called it in the sense of Riva is in league with Vader. She has direct access to Vader, and that's pretty much established right off the bat. And so that kind of explains why she knew things that she shouldn't have known, because she had that quick access to it. But all the same comments I made about the show last week applies here. The dialogue, you know, I'm okay with the story. The story, you know, it's like if I took my Star Wars action figures, took them out in the backyard, and started running them through a story. This is kind of the story I might tell. But the difference is the dialogue feels like the dialogue I would have done in the backyard playing with my toys. As opposed to, you know, again, rehashing last week, the richness of the dialogue as it dealt with the lore of the Force and of the world and the history, that's just not there. All the dialogue is based on the action that is happening on screen, and that's the most frustrating and the most missed opportunity I believe the show has.
Yeah, I will say that I think the weakest component of the show is the writing is the weakest component. The dialogue is just awful. There's a moment where Obi-Wan Kenobi, they're in this sort of shuttle being driven by this alien. There's some stormtroopers.
Zach Braff.
Zach Braff. And they she calls her Leia. She's with Leia.
Yeah.
And
he calls her Leia.
They come up with fake names, Luma, and then he accidentally calls her Leia. This is not the Obi-Wan Kenobi from the prequel trilogy. You know, he seemed a little bit more ahead of the game and a little bit more savvy. And I think he's been in more dangerous situations, you know, confronting General Grievous directly. You know, there's just like so many other situations that Obi-Wan has been in that were much more perilous.
Yeah. I think they're portraying him as a broken man. And I think that's right. That's also part of the problem. I get that. I never got the sense in A New Hope that, you know, he had given up hope at some point. And I'm not sure I buy into the hopeless Kenobi here. Yeah,
well, that's at least the way that Ewan McGregor is playing it.
Absolutely.
The thing I have an issue with is that it seems to, and this is due to the writing, is again, it's just completely lacking subtext. As you pointed out, pretty much the dialogue is focused on all the things that are happening. Like, could you hand me that sonic spanner? And then you get the sonic spanner. It's like, that's just, everything is just like on the surface. It's very much, I get the feeling that this show is, it feels like it's a Disney Channel show for children with the Star Wars skin on it. Do you get that feeling? And maybe that's just because the girl who plays Leia, she's supposed to be 10 years old, but look, I raised a daughter. They're bigger at 10. They're a little bigger at 10. She might be 7 or 8.
Yeah, I think maturity-wise, she's pretty close to 10, but she looks, 7. And then, are you still bothered by her teeth? I think that's the. That
was what we talked about last episode. Is I think that this was an opportunity to inject some modern commentary, and everybody loves modern commentary in Star Wars.
Yeah,
everybody loves it. Where Bail Organa could have argued for dental care for Alderaan. Look at my daughter and her teeth.
I know
I'm gonna get. I know the chat's gonna.
What is the Emperor? Why does the Emperor have his priorities in the wrong places?
Yes, we need dental care, health care for all on the planet of Alderaan. Bail Organa argued for in the Senate, and then until Galactic Pharma got to him.
Yeah. I'm just saying you're getting a lot of comments in the chat of
what are they saying?
But it's just they can't believe that you're hung up on her teeth of all the things.
Well,
to really press on.
Okay, well, yes, I am hung up on her teeth, but more than that, bad acting. You know, the acting is pretty piss poor. And I don't even blame the actors that were hired. I actually think they're fine. I'm including Moses Ingram in this. I feel like the directors and producers needed to pay a little bit more attention to these performances, give them a little more time. Maybe it was a TV schedule. They didn't have a lot of time, but I feel like you need to create a character, being comfortable in that wardrobe, running scenes, trying stuff out. Like and I don't feel like, it just feels like it feels rushed. What I'm saying.
Well, let me talk about that in terms of Moses Ingram. I think she's better in this episode, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
In the first 2 episodes, I think her only instruction regarding her character was she's kind of this badass, evil woman, and really no motivation or subtext. In this episode, what I felt like is she finally got it, that the fact that she is next in line, that if she impresses Vader, she will become the next Grand Inquisitor. And I think that motivation enhanced her performance this time. I'm not saying it's a far better performance, but I did at least get a sense that now she has some motivation in her character.
Well, they're on this, I just forgot the name of the planet. It's not Tatooine because there's
it's the mining planet.
There were some, it just looked like going to Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
If you've ever been to Joshua Tree, California, or if you've ever been in the desert somewhere.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Why does this feel like the California desert?
It just feels like California desert. It seems very lazy. It doesn't feel, which was one of the cool things about Star Wars in the early days, is planets or environments felt otherworldly, right? They felt like you were in another world. And certainly I've been to Joshua Tree. I've been to the Vasquez Rocks. Great locations they could have shot. In California, would have been nice. There are otherworldly looking things. And it seems like there was no effort to dress the environment. This is where I'm really coming down on the fact that I feel the true failure of this show is the writing, and Deborah Chow, the director, disappoints. She's much better when she's being produced by Jon Favreau. That's just a fact. She did, and I think most would agree with me. By the way, that is in the background. That's an R2-D2 cooler I got from the official Star Wars fan club years ago because I was at Star Wars Celebration drinking. Perhaps you saw me in one of the 2 hotel bars at the Hilton or the Marriott. And I was given I had a 4-day we're going to talk about that in a second.
By the way, we did meet a couple of you out there. And so
yes,
it was great to meet you.
Here's my 4-day badge for Celebration, and it's one of the worst design badges. It's ugly as hell. I collect the actual badges, and not so great. I was gifted this as part of the Chris Army because my name is Chris, and there are a lot of people named Chris who like Star Wars, and we have these patches. I was also given, maybe we have to do a giveaway with this or something. This is an actual prop. I met the prop master from Obi-Wan Kenobi, and this is Tatooine money. and it feels like a challenge coin, very heavy. And he just ran into me, said he loved the channel, and gave me this prop from Obi-Wan Kenobi. So there you go. And then I got this sticker. So
there you go.
We'll talk about Star Wars Celebration later. But I think the big thing that I was both dreading and thinking, how are they going to do that, is Obi-Wan Kenobi meeting Darth Vader / Anakin. So they did that, and it was very anticlimactic. Couple things, a lot of things happened during this so-called fight. It was more like Obi-Wan was just trying to get the hell away, right?
Yeah, I've got a few thoughts about that one myself.
Yeah, and then immediately just tries to murder Obi-Wan, drag him through fire, which I actually kind of liked that. It's like, okay, this is what you did to me. I'm going to do the same thing back. But I feel like there should have been more dramatic weight. It was really missing something. It felt kind of flat, like if this soda that I'm drinking was a flat soda, just like, okay, they're meeting. This is like, this is 17 years after we saw Revenge of the Sith, and we're seeing now Obi-Wan and Anakin meet, and he's a broken man trying to just hide in the galaxy. Darth Vader's moved himself up in the ranks and is hunting Jedi as kind of a side project, in addition to other stuff that Vader. I don't know. I really felt like we needed to see more of Vader and what he was up to.
Yeah, I will say the introduction of Vader was pretty cool. I was pretty excited, and then it just dawned on me that Hayden's just in the suit, and James Earl Jones is doing his voice, much like David Prowse did.
James Earl Jones is, we wouldn't be talking about Star Wars now if not for so many key elements of the original Star Wars, and one of those is James Earl Jones.
Yeah, and when his voice came out, it was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, no.
I like this moment, and then it went away.
Right. But I just felt like there should have been something more emotional. It should have built to a fight, or built to some conflict, or been more interesting. Literally, it looked, that set in which Obi-Wan and Darth Vader face off and fight for the brief time that they did, it looked cheap. It looked like some backlot thing where they were kind of, and it was done in the dark, so you're kind of like, are you repeating? They were just sort of repeating, kind of like when a cartoon character like Fred Flintstone is driving and you see the same boulder go by him 7 times. Like, that's what it felt like. It just felt there was a cheapness about it, and it wasn't particularly dynamic. When you go back and look at some of the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars, there's the carbon freezing chamber, Luke versus Darth Vader, his father. Didn't know it at the beginning of the fight. There's the Phantom Menace in the power reactor, right? That was really amazing. There's, Anakin and Obi-Wan's final duel in Revenge of the Sith. Or even like there was the throne room and like these environments in which they had those lightsaber duels were almost part of the duel, because characters were able to use elements of that in the fight itself. And they're just into some flat desert that was nondescript. It was really like uninspired. Like, this is the big confrontation. The words they had were like, "You did this to me." Well, I don't, imagine James Earl Jones said that.
Again, if I took my toys and got my Darth Vader and my Ben Kenobi and had them fight in my backyard, that's the dialogue I would give them.
It reminds me of, there's a great Onion video where they talk to like the 5-year-old screenwriter behind the Fast and the Furious movies, and it's literally a kid playing with Hot Wheels. And that. So, but like,
hey, let me talk about the production values since you brought it up.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch this episode, the biggest thing you're gonna notice is that everyone on set is socially distant. They're 6 feet apart. There's very few people in the set, so they're keeping the crew down to a minimum, and so you just get the sense that it's 4 people on a large set. That's what it felt like through most of this, and then I'll get into the stormtrooper scene where Obi-Wan's able to take down a truck of 4 stormtroopers, yet he can't stop a truck with 3 in the back, and the truck is backing up to them. Somehow that was more menacing than the 4 that were next to him, trying to kill him at point blank.
I just think that there is a lack of detail that
the fight choreography is horrible in this episode. Absolutely.
Let's go through, and I want to get to your comments in the chat. And I know we have some super chats, and thank you for those. We will get to your comments in the chat in just a few minutes. I want to point out the things that bother me that are so easy to fix.
Yeah.
So easy to fix that, and I have seen fan films with Darth Vader that unfortunately I feel were better than this, that showed more emotional weight on Darth Vader, on Anakin, right? For what he experienced, right? Like from his point of view. Here are the things that bug me is it feels like it's being made by people who are not as familiar with the source material, right? And familiar even with a lot of people were pointing out things I was unaware of from other series, and that's okay. I'm familiar with the movies.
We're definitely film canon here, and
film right. But there are things that break canon of other shows, right? Like
the Grand Inquisitor's death.
Exactly. That's what I meant. So I think that there's a lack of knowledge about the previous source material. There are stylistic things that I think are a disappointment. Where are my star wipes? That feels Star Wars to me. Star wipes. I think you actually do need some sort of opening crawl. It's been 10 years. The Galactic Empire, Darth Vader is hunting down, just something to give context. That's world building, and it's not expensive to do an opening crawl. Okay. So you could have had star wipes, more attention to that kind of detail. And I think here's a problem that just the format of doing Star Wars as television, this is an issue, right? Here's the issue. We now have Reva in 3 episodes. She's had more screen time than Boba Fett, more screen time than Darth Vader had in the original Star Wars trilogy. If you just count the minutes that Darth Vader was on screen, I think there's something to be said for having a certain balanced amount of screen time. And I think part of the issue is they've, I'm trying to dissect maybe why some people have issues with her, aside from the fact that I feel like her take on this character is doesn't work. She should have had, I've said it before, she should have had a British accent. I feel like a British accent would have actually fixed quite a bit. The other problem is screen time. If you went back and watched The Empire Strikes Back and Lobot, and I know you know who Lobot is, Lobot has very little screen time. I don't think Lobot even has any lines. But Lobot's a background character. He's Lando's sort of right-hand person who's, sort of helping. I don't know, maybe he's the accountant for Cloud City. We never knew. But the cool thing about Lobot is brief character in the background, mysterious. We have no idea what's going on. And I really kind of feel like the thing that's not doing the character of Reva any service is there's so much screen time. It's like you kind of question, is this is clearly her story, right? I feel like she would have been much cooler if her performance was cut down. This is the thing that Marsha Lucas would always do, like the less is more. And so much of the original Star Wars movie was characters in the background. I'm going to throw another character out there. And please put in the chat, because I don't remember off the top of my head the name of this character. It's the character in Cloud City that's in one shot running carrying the ice cream maker. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't.
And he's an Indian actor, I believe, and he's running carrying this ice. It's an ice in real life. It's an ice cream maker. So he's running carrying this thing. You have no idea what it is, but in real life, they just gave him an ice cream maker. And sometimes I've been to conventions like Dragon Con or whatever, and there'll be 20 people dressed in the same outfit, all running. It's hysterical. But I feel like there's so many ways that this could have been fixed. In addition to the thing is just the weak writing of this. I felt like Anakin and Obi-Wan's meeting for the first time should have had much more underneath the surface, much more weight. They maybe should have had words about Padme, just something going on.
I mean, honestly, that's what I'm waiting for in this series, and I'm not sure it's going to happen. It's this sit down, heart to heart between Vader and Kenobi, and I don't know. I just feel like if that moment comes, they're just going to screw it up with inane dialogue.
Well, it's gonna be inane dialogue. We kind of already know that. I get the sense that that's just what all of this. I mean, like Mario Puzo's not writing this. Okay, they're not. So
I know Larry Kasdan wrote Empire Strikes Back, and
Disney has a hard time attracting, I think, talent at that level where you just need to have stronger, more experienced writers, and I just feel that we're getting to the scene. In my imagination, it's a better scene than what I saw. And maybe that's also part of the problem is that the original Star Wars trilogy used to great effect off-screen events, right? This is something that it's a tool a writer can use. And that's the only time you should be explaining something. When Grand Moff Tarkin comes in, he goes and he talks about how the Galactic Senate's been wiped away by the Emperor, and you're like, one, I didn't know there was an Emperor for this galactic empire. Two, there's a galactic senate that he's then just gotten rid of, and it, like, just knowing that, like, casual, like, we're just talking, this is Death Star work talk, we're sitting there talking, and writers today don't know how to use off-screen events to build a world, or just to use speaking, you've got your you're not speaking this, they're basically speaking the subtext out loud. And it just makes it difficult.
No, they're narrating the action.
Right. That's it. Let's go to the comments here. Yeah. We're going to take a break from our discussion. We're going to continue the discussion. And we have Flaccid Phoenix modding here, starring the best comments. Thank you, Flaccid Phoenix, for being here. Subscribe to Flaccid Phoenix's channel. Just look up Flaccid Phoenix. We have a $9.99 super chat here. Let me go to that. Wait, where is that? Let's get to that first. Let's get to the super chat from Buford T. Justice. Let's go to that. The Force isn't female. The Force is Luke Skywalker. And I will say, I agree with you in this sense. I think what Luke Skywalker represented in the Star Wars original trilogy is he represented positivity and optimism. In spite of everything being lost, Luke was optimistic. He was also willing to do what a hero that you admire should always think about, which is acts of self-sacrifice, willing to die for your friends, willing to put your life on the line. Take what you saw, all these pilots die going down the Death Star trench, and you're going to take one last shot at it, and you're not going to use the computer because you're listening to that voice of Obi-Wan in your head. I mean, I get chills thinking about it. Have we seen something like that, a moment like that, with Disney Star Wars? I can't really point to one that is a moment that is as great as the original trilogy, or some of the best moments of the prequel trilogy, for that matter. So Buford T. Justice, thank you for that comment.
I mean, I have to push back on the fact that this is nothing to do with gender. It has to do with bad acting and the inability to be creative, and the inability to understand the property that you're bringing to life once again. They don't understand Star Wars.
Even the cosmetic things, and some opening crawl or opening thing. And it doesn't have to be a crawl going into space. Okay, save that for the movies. Give us context. You can say something about the world and where characters are and set something up. They use
the John Williams score set up the whole movie. Well, right from the very beginning. You were in the action right at the end of his opening score.
Well, where was Vader's theme in this show? Where was it?
Maybe they didn't have enough money to pay for it.
Is it? Okay. It's weird. So maybe cutting a little slack to the writers and producers of this project. How much are they handcuffed by legal things that they can't do, like characters they cannot use, or they can only use a certain number of characters, music that they can't use?
Well, I mean, I'm being facetious. This is a Lucasfilm production, so they have access to all that.
Do they? You don't know. I'm told that the likenesses that Luke, because it was these legacy contracts with characters like Han Solo, Luke, and Leia, that those characters, that's why they were used.
Yeah, well, likenesses, I understand. But the music, they have the music.
Right.
There's, and then talked about this at Star Wars Celebration, but I just get the sense that Disney is hiring writers who don't know how to write, and they don't understand.
You get that sense, Alan?
Yeah, that they don't understand how to write a television show, and they're making all the mistakes that you could possibly make with the television show. And the worst part is because it's all shot in the can right now, there's no chance of course correction.
And that's exactly right. Yes. Like in most series, you go 24 episodes, you can kind of course correct. You can say, oh, this one character is really popular. Let's give this character more screen time. I think that's where, J.J. Abrams is, I'm no fan, but also he's more of a TV guy, right? Mm-hmm. So you have the ability to do that. But when you're doing effectively what is a long movie, it's a 5 hour, because what are the episodes like?
50 minutes each. Yeah, 40 to 50 minutes.
With 7 minutes of credits. I'm not joking. I paused to check. 7 minutes of credits.
So 45 minutes roughly.
You've got like nearly 5 hours, right? There's no time to course correct. You have 6 episodes and that's it. It's already in the can. It's done. So
we have to suffer through the next 3 episodes, basically.
Well, exactly. And you look at this is why I say I kind of feel sorry for this actress getting caught up in this. I think she's also getting terrible advice.
Yeah.
Terrible advice from Lucasfilm, who is exploiting her and using Moses Ingram as a way to inoculate themselves against any criticism for this show, so that the accountability for the quality doesn't go on the producers themselves. Let me get through some of these chats, because we got some great. The chat's on fire today. And do me a favor, smash that like button, please. And if you also, if you're not a subscriber to the channel, subscribe. You may want to subscribe if you have not subscribed before.
Oh wow!